Hey, what's up, YouTube fans? So, on a lot of my videos, right, I talk about how all statistical improbabilities regarding the origination of life are completely unproblematic to account for, right? Because we have good reason to think that anywhere where you don't get life, you don't get anything with brain, sensory organs, or anything of the sort. And so you have nothing there to make observations such as, that they're on a planet, what all exists on that planet. You have nothing there doing science, making observations, right? And so therefore, observers, right, most likely could only find themselves somewhere where life came to exist, no matter how rare, right? Therefore, meaning that our observation that it happened here is not in of itself strong evidence that it's at all common. It could be as rare as we need it to be, right? And because all life on Earth shares common ancestry, life only had to come from non-life once on Earth, and we know of nowhere else where there's confirmed to be life. There's no limit to the potential number of opportunities there could be for the factors to align in the right way by chance. If there's an edge to the cosmos, we haven't found it yet. There plausibly could be infinite planets. Even if not infinite, it could still be any crazy large number. And so there could plausibly be enough. The cosmos could very well be large enough for any statistically improbable scenario to be plausible to happen somewhere by chance. And then in the case of this particular statistically improbable scenario, we could only find ourselves wherever it happened, no matter how rare, right? And so for those reasons, all statistical improbabilities regarding the origination of life are completely unproblematic to account for, right? No matter how large the number is, whatever it is, 10 to the power of a trillion to the power of another trillion, whatever number they come up with, you could take that number and put it to the power of itself, and then take that number and put it to the power of itself, and it could still plausibly happen trillions and trillions of times over, because there's no known limit to how large the cosmos could be, and we could only find ourselves wherever it happened, right? What some people might still wonder is, what about non-statistical considerations for the origination of life, where, it's not a matter of that statistically unlikely, but, it's just a matter of that, no matter how many opportunities there are, we just don't know physically how could it happen. Well, so a few things. So first, intelligent design, quote unquote, does not at all help in solving that, right? Because intelligent design advocates do not have a model as to what, if anything, physically would need to be there. They don't think that the intelligent designer, quote unquote, would necessarily need to have arms and hands, or even if it does have arms and hands, it's not like it would have to be structured exactly like ours, like with muscle, bone, 5 fingers, wrist, thumb. And so, if anything physically would have to be there, they don't actually have a model for that. So they don't actually have a solution to any of the physical barriers. And you might say like, oh, well, but, an intelligent designer, quote unquote, could, use their intelligence to, figure out like the best way to work around any physical barriers, and so they could figure out what needed to be made to happen to work around the physical obstacles. But it could just as well be a matter of that, given enough chance opportunities, whatever needs to happen to overcome the physical barriers could happen somewhere by chance, right? And so if you're not going to offer a model of like what physically would need to be there, or even you're not even sure that anything physically, it maybe isn't even a physical thing, then you're not actually offering a explanation for like the mechanism. You're not actually solving it. And then furthermore, there are some cosmological models, right, which predict, not even based on this, but even based on other reasons also, that not only are there potentially many universes, maybe even infinite, but the natural laws, all of the physical laws, could vary in every possible way between the differing universes, because these differing universes would form separately from each other, and so their physical laws would form separately, right? And so then under that scenario, right, the odds will be in favor of a universe being biased towards abiogenesis in the maximum extent possible, right? And then a universe that allows for abiogenesis would be the only one that we could find ourselves in, right? And so, for the natural laws to be biased towards abiogenesis is not in of itself something that entails any improbability that can't be accounted for, right? And then to any extent of like, oh, but was it this way or was it that way, out of many hypothetical logical possibilities, and we don't know which one is the correct one. Okay, that's just a gap in knowledge. Humans aren't omniscient. We don't know everything. And we're talking about like chemical sequences of events that happened in some unknown location billions of years ago. So we shouldn't really expect to know the answer, right? We're not omniscient. We don't know everything. Sometimes there's going to be gaps in knowledge. That shouldn't really be a surprise. All right, that's all for now. See you guys.